Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everybody to Brainfood Live on Air. It is episode 307 and we are doing a very special show for you all today. It's special because we're doing it on Monday and we never do Brainfood Lives on Monday unless it is a special occasion. And the reason why we wanted to do this show, of course, is because we've got a very special guest that's volunteered some time for us to talk about some of the really significant product innovations that he's been working on. LinkedIn, folks, is a product all recruiters are using. I remember doing a survey on the matter, and all of the Brainfood community, 30,000 people, there was something like 98.9% had some sort of LinkedIn license. It's a product we cannot do without. It's changed the way in which we as recruiters operate. And it remains today a product or a platform where innovations that happen on it do have potential to change how we do our jobs. So I think it's really important that we pay attention to innovations that's coming out of LinkedIn. And I'm delighted to say we've got none other than Hari Srinivasan, the VP of Product of LinkedIn, coming on and showing us some of his stuff. Before we bring Hari on, though, I just want to make sure the audio and visual is okay. So, folks, if you're in sort of watching this on Crowdcast, do let me know whether you can hear and see me okay. Very important that that is the case. Let me know whether the audio visual is fine. We should also be broadcasting this on my LinkedIn, suitably enough. So if you're seeing this on my LinkedIn, do let me know in the comments there whether you can hear and see me okay. It'd be rather embarrassing if we brought the VP of product of LinkedIn onto the live and not have a situation where he can hear us. Okay, thank you for your compliments, Brandon. Appreciate it very much. Everyone can hear me okay? Great stuff. Okay, some very quick housekeeping. Any questions, use the Q&A feature on the right-hand side of the sidebar. If you have if you're watching this on LinkedIn, pop it in the comments. We've got a team there. LinkedIn have lended some resources. We're going to pull those questions back in, and we're going to deal with those towards the end of the show. But without further ado, let's bring on Mr. Srinivasan. He can tell us all about this. Give me one sec, folks. Here we go. Let's invite. Cool. And we should be ready to go. Cool. And there he is, Hari Srinivasan. Great to see you, Hari. I think you're muted, by the way. And do you know what? I think there's no way to unmute you unless you exit again. And then when I invite you back in, you got to click on I want to be unmuted. So let's do that real quick, Hari. I'm going to remove you from stage, okay? Hari, can you hear us? Hari, can you hear us? Oh, I'm going to unmute you, see if I can do that. I can't do it. Hari, don't worry. I'm going to remove you and then bring you back in, okay? Okay, that's one thing that Crowdcast really do need to improve on. May, if you can if you're watching this, can you just let Hari know when he accepts the invite? The thing to do there is make sure that he also accepts the, basically accepts the, he's got to okay the mic essentially. Okay, let me see if I can get Hari back in. Should be fine. Give us one sec, folks. Bear with us. Okay. We should be ready to go. Okay, any questions, by the way, folks? Don't be shy. Stick them in the Q&A, and we'll see where we go. Hari, can you hear us?
I can. Sorry, that didn't seem to go right the first time.
No worries. This is a criticism I have for Crowdcast. They should really not default to mute. I think they're overly health and safety here. Come on, you're coming on screen, people want to talk. Okay, Hari, let's kick off straight away because I know time is short. Can you quickly introduce yourself, sir? Who are you? What it is you do?
Yeah, I'm Hari. I get to work at LinkedIn, work with many people who are in the recruiting and hiring world as well as the job seeker world. I lead the part of the business that we call per product our talent marketplace. So anything that helps someone get a job, anything that helps someone learn a skill, and certainly anyone who gets hired or anyone who's looking to post a job, etc.
Fantastic stuff. And we're going to look at this kind of products from both those sides of the hiring relationship, aren't we? On the one side, we're going to look at what's happening for the job seeker, and on the other, we're going to look at what's happening for the recruiters. So I don't see any reason why we can't just demo it straight away and use that as the bedrock for the conversation, Harry. So let's roll with the AI job assistant, I think.
Let's do it. Well, we learned something new. Oh man, it must have been about a week ago. So this is all really new stuff. But I figured I'd start with some of the new work we're doing in Job Seeker that we're doing, because it's tough to be a job seeker right now. I was in London recently, and one of the things I talked about is if you look at the number of applications in the London area, and I think it's many different global markets, it's about up, I don't know, 30-40% year over year, whereas jobs are roughly flat. So think about that. If you're a job seeker, you're out there, you're putting more and more jobs in. I know for many people on the call, there's a downstream impact of that, of signal and noise, and how you kind of manage those applications. So it started getting us really thinking about this. How are we going to help this world? And I figured I'd just show you some of the new things we launched. I'm going to go and just show you this product that you might be familiar with. It's called LinkedIn. This is all live. This is our LinkedIn feed. Can you see that okay? Huh?
Yep.
Fantastic. And I'll go to my job slide. And you'll notice something new here if I click on this. Now, every job, including on LinkedIn and every other job site on the internet, everything starts with something around the title. And it basically says, start with the title, or what are you looking for? And I had this moment, must have been a few months ago now. I was talking to a student who was recently graduating. And it was a really interesting conversation because her entire energy was very negative. And I was talking to her about it, and she's like, maybe many of you can relate to this. She'd applied to probably 50, 100 different jobs. And she starts going in, and it's just really heartbreaking to hear her story. And she's going in and she's applying for these UX designer jobs. And so I kind of zoned up and I gave her access to this product. I literally just kind of linked over to her and I said, try this. And so we spent a minute with just this question, which is describe the job you want. It was just such a different question than coming to a page and saying you have to have title. And she said, I want to make systems for, if I could type, the neurodivergent. And she clicked on this. She opened it up just a little bit. She said, I can be anywhere I want to be. And she started seeing a wide range, a wide diversity of different jobs she can get. Not just UX dive for this, but because this is her mission, her vision, something she was specialist in, she could see things from specialist jobs to coaches to, she even got a job recommendation when I was talking to her for Neuralink. And it was really interesting to see because some of the jobs she was looking at that she had never seen before had only 5 people apply. It was such a different aperture of what she was going for. And she started to understand that a lot of what job seeking is not just coming in and saying, this is the title and starting to narrow in, but opening up to your skills, to your aperture of what you can do. And her energy on this thing completely changed. And of course, this is just for the neurodivergent, but you can say jobs making gummy bears. You can get a list of jobs for this that you're coming in through. Things that you probably wouldn't have expected were on LinkedIn. One of mine that I've been kind of thinking about is jobs working on getting on space travel. Maybe you're a dreamer out there. You can start to see different things. Then we started to have this moment. We said, okay, this is really interesting. In this world of skills-based hiring, we're finally had the AI technology to really open up the aperture. How do you know if you're a good fit for this? This is really different than coming in and saying you're a UX designer or you're a UX designer. So we started leveling this out as well. And you'll see this is a job match. And it's not only just a simple score, yeah, it has some ability to do it. What the job match is now looking at for is it's looking at everything we know, and it's looking at everything we know about the job, and it's starting to give you a list of real understanding of where you need to either improve telling your story, or maybe you might need to have different qualifications and learn different skills in order to get there. And for us, this is a big turn because now we can understand if someone's a good applicant for this, or if not, we can also maybe help you find maybe the junior role of this junior mission integration engineer that might be the right place to start. So a lot better starting to help people understand where the direct traffic is, where to go. And of course, if someone is, you can start understanding the resume, you can cover a cover letter. We're going to coach you on how to improve your profile to get there. So a very different change to job seeking as we go on to. The final things, we redid search and we redid this ability of how applications work. You'll see a lot of different kind of information up here too. Not only are we starting to understand that what are the people who applied or the apply starters that we call through. We're also helping people understand when a job is actively hiring and people are looking through it and not. And to us, that's a big change in this because, of course, right now in a moment where the marketplace has shifted so that people are applying for more jobs, understanding people are looking at the responses, are being actively hiring or not is a big change for us. So we're really excited about this new change to job seeker. I think it is a much different world. I've been kind of talking about skills-based hiring for a long time, and I feel now when people can look at the product and start understanding, oh, I can deploy my skills in a different way, we're starting to get a much different feel of how this product works.
Really, really interesting, folks. Can you see the value here of what Harry has just shown us? We've been like locked in the job title universe really since forever. Like this is like since the beginning of my experience, at least in recruiting. Job title was the most important part of information of your CV or resume, the most important part of a job description or a job ad. And if those two things did not match, typically you wouldn't apply, or if you did apply, you'd be bombed out. And when you think about it, that's a very small component of information. It's like literally 2 words usually that we're making a huge decision on, right?
I think that's spot on. And let's kind of I've been thinking about this problem for a long time. And here's my read. The title and the degree were created because they were ways when you had hundreds, thousands of applications to look at and you had to review them. There were ways that a human could quickly analyze what that meant and understand what that credential meant. And now imagine we have these new AI systems that could, in real time, as you just saw, look through a series of different job opportunities, analyze someone's skills in a much more holistic way, and then say this might be a match for somebody else, and then kind of fit those two things together. Now you're not constrained by the information that can only go through the eye, right? Now you're constrained by the information that the GPU can kind of analyze. And it opens up the aperture of things. And I'll go back to that story I said, I could just see it in your face. You know, you're graduating from school and you think you can only do this. Now you can do this. And, you know, I have the benefit of looking over all the applications. Of course, when people always come in, they put in the same title that they know about. We serve up similar jobs. They want a job in tech, you're going to see the same job. Now you're actually able to see the much wider set of jobs, and you're getting people into things that they're much more personally fulfilled by, but also as a marketplace, you're operating much more efficiently. And so I think there's a real change coming. It's something I know many people in the talent community have talked about for a while, but I finally feel the technology is there to start hitting some of the ambition.
Fantastic. You know, one thing as well, Harry, it was the case that you mentioned, young person coming into the world of work. This is going to be fantastic for younger people and early entry folks. Folks, if you cast your mind back when you were first looking for work, did you actually know the job titles you were suitable for? You had no idea. You had no idea. But here, what I loved about your search there, Harry, it was actually a desire. Like, I want to work kind of here. And the AI was able to figure out, okay, here are some decent options. Presumably, as well, it could kind of respond to how the user then responds to the results, so that if they're saying, actually, they're not looking at some of these, the next time perhaps you'll surface up some more relevant stuff, and it'll just be a constant feedback loop.
You hit it right on. I mean, if you look at the product today, yes, we started with search, which is the most acute pain point. But of course, we have things around preferences and open to work. We have recommendations, and you can see how this new technology can pretty quickly start going into those channels as well. And also, of course, how the recruiter and the hirer work. Now, imagine you are learning through the interview process and you start changing some of the requirements. Couldn't those requirements come back in and this system become a lot more dynamic? There's a lot to unlock here as we go through. Maybe the most exciting part, and we'll show the hiring side in a minute, but the most exciting part to me is, of course, now that you see those particular gaps, we have a great learning product. We entered that field for a reason. We felt we had a responsibility to not just help someone find the opportunity, but earn that opportunity. And imagine now you understand the exact thing that's been a gap, which, I mean, how many people, me and I, it's a horse. I go around and I probably talked to hundreds of job seekers just this last few months alone across. It's just part of the job. And it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking when the silence is heartbreaking. And just this idea that now you might understand, okay, this is the gap. This is what I need to learn. And you have the tools there. I think there's going to be a very motivating factor that I'm at least personally excited about as we go through.
Do you know what, Harry? There's another sort of demographic I want to just introduce real quick, and it's not just the sort of early career folks, but I just thinking how many people are just locked into a certain career path based on job description or based on job title, should I say? If you're an accountant, first job, and your accountant, second job, guess what? Your third job's going to be an accountant. And before you know it, you might be 25 years in and that's all you're doing. Maybe that's not what you want to do, though. And suddenly this opens up the door to start seeing other opportunities and what have you. So this could be really, really good for motivation.
I love how you said, and it's funny, working in the space, you end up kind of using the products a lot. And it is amazing how much when you went in that box and you saw that's kind of what you thought a career was defined by. And now when you go into that box and the simple language around, what do you want to do? It's a very different question. And to me, the greatest products are simple. And just that simple change feels so different, right? As you go through it, it feels good. And it's honestly, it's a change I'm very excited about.
I want to use it one more question to this before we go to hiring assistant. You mentioned something about you're going to surface up information with regards to the status of the job. So are people looking at applications? So this is sort of from a recruiter's point of view. Are they actually screening candidates? Are they clicking on the applications? You're going to bring that information to the job seeker to say, actually, these guys are just collecting sort of resumes. They're not doing anything. Or these guys actually are actively looking. Is that information you're going to communicate to job seekers?
Yes. So we've made two changes to how this works. So one, we've been rolling out for a while, but it's called verified jobs. We had to make sure that the job had a trusted entity behind it. And right now, the majority of job views are to verified jobs. We're also probably the largest verified identity source on the internet as well. So this idea is, that you are real is really, really important. The second thing is you are real and you are here. You are responsive, right? That's the second thing you want to know. And so we're making sure that that signal gets back to the job seeker. And to your point, look, at the end of the day, I know everyone's trying to do the right thing across the marketplace. But when you have a billion people and millions and millions and millions of jobs, things happen. And so what we're trying to do is make sure that we have as much transparency in that world as possible.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, we've got to move on to the next demo. Before I do that, actually, the gummy bear, there was actually a job, senior technician gelatin. Did you see that?
I saw it. Believe me, I see it. I have a personal passion as a gummy bear connoisseur. So it's a job I test regularly, and the poor team, I don't know why they had to index on that so heavily.
Okay, folks, ask questions if you have any for Harry. Ping them in the Q&A. I'll put them in the comments. Let's go to the next demo, Harry.
Okay. So the next thing I thought it would be interesting to share about, in October, we released what we call our hiring assistant. It's a new AI product that can serve alongside a recruiter to help take, up to 20 hours a week of kind of repetitive searches and messaging off the recruiter's plate. Now, when I show this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show kind of a mock demo. And the reason I'm going to show that is, honestly, when I show the real product, there's open to work and things it wouldn't be right to share about member data. But before I do that, I just want to stop for a minute and explain that this product is very much real. We have thousands of customers using it. I've used it on a regular basis. Our entire team at LinkedIn is using it. Sometimes I think when people see mock demos in AI, it doesn't do them justice as we go through. And I'm happy to talk about early learnings as we go as well. But I figured it would just be easier to first maybe just show the product as we go on through. So I'll start with just a quick picture. This is how I kind of think about the world. You'll see here that these are all the steps. We have 1 billion members on LinkedIn, and our job is to make sure that the hires can get to that one perfect candidate. And you'll see in that role, there's all kinds of things that people have to do. They have to define the role, they have to find the candidate, message it all the way through. And nearly every recruiter I talk to says the best part of the day comes on the right side of this. It's that ability to land someone in that perfect job. Whereas the toughest part of the day is that drudgery of coming in, running a search, rerunning a search, kind of sitting there not knowing if it works. So our work was, hey, how do we start removing some of the things on the left so that people could spend, honestly, a lot more time on the right, helping people work with candidates, making sure they have that feeling of getting someone a job. So I figured what I do is just walk you through 3 quick steps. I'll do an intake. I'll find and source and evaluate candidates, and then we can talk quickly about how some of the help we're doing on outreach and screening will work as we come on through. So I'm going to stop sharing and just show you this mock in 1 second. Sorry for the back and forth, my friends.
Quick one for Aaron there. You can actually make the screen bigger yourself. Just hover over the presentation. There should be an expand screen. So give that a shot. That should help.
All right, let's do it. So again, I apologize a little bit for the mocks as we go through, and just thank you for understanding. We take trust very seriously here, and I really didn't want to show a product that might release any data. Okay, so this is our recruiter product, and my guess is many people on this call are quite familiar with it. But one thing you probably have not seen is this area right up here where it says, "Hi, Allison." And that is the entrance point to a product that we call our hiring assistant. And if you click on it, in this particular example, it's already done some work for me, but you'll see something's popping out. And this is the hiring assistant working on top of the product, an agent on top of the product in order to help you start doing work and doing for it. So again, I'll show you 3 parts. We'll start with a little bit of intake. Let's just say I'm hiring for a new role. Go ahead and click on it. Now, here's the cool thing. People start hiring for a role in so many different ways. Yeah, you can just start with a description of what you can do. You can also just understand a little bit more of information. You can add a document as you go on through. It's, of course, if you have RSC or some of this works and it's integrated with your ATS, you can pull that into. Honestly, the way I've been doing it increasingly is I'm saying, find me people like this, because LinkedIn has a lot of that information. It can deduce across those different pieces of information as it goes. And just like that, this product can actually start sourcing for you. Now, when it starts sourcing for you, there's a couple things that's going to do. The first is based on that, it'll start understanding all the information you need around the role. But maybe more interestingly, what it'll start doing is actually understand the qualifications you need for the role. And we do our best here, as you can see. One of the big learnings for this is this concept of writing qualifications was actually quite hard. It sounds like the most easy part of the job in some ways, but it's not. Understanding the clarity of what's hiring for, the skills you're hiring for, is very much going to determine the role. So you'll see up here, we're also starting to give a few tips. We're saying this is how to write a good qualification. This is what we know on the insights as you go through. And just like that, it'll start giving your hiring plan and your intake is done. So you think about all that back and forth, trying to understand the qualification of the person, trying to understand the job description, synthesizing that all together as you go on through. That took me about 3-4 steps to come on through. You'll see right here, as soon as I go into the project now, we'll start sourcing. We'll start actually going and looking for people. Hiring assistant, you can see it at any time. It's always there. It's very clear to understand. It's very easy to interact as you go on through. And you'll see that when it starts getting to work, it starts sourcing candidates for you. And pretty quickly, it'll come back and it'll say, hey, there's a set of candidates for you to review. I'm going to go ahead and hit review candidates. And you'll start seeing a list of people here that we can go ahead and actually look through. I'll close this out. Now, one of the things that people, of course, ask is, are the candidates good? Like, that's the obvious question that we've been trying to figure out is, can the AI actually source good candidates? And one of the early findings that we're having through, and this might be the first time I've actually shared this, is people are actually finding they have to look at 68% fewer profiles in order to get to an email accept, which means that the shortlist is kind of working. Now, it's not perfect. That's not consistent across the board. Some roles are, of course, harder to find. Some are not. We're having all kinds of different questions on how languages work as we go through, but that's a total number. So you can see some are better than that and probably some are worse. And therefore, some of this is actually already starting to save people time as we go on through. Now, what is it going here? We'll go back to the skills thing I mentioned. What the hiring assistant is doing is taking that qualification we did and saying, find me evidence of where this person has done that. That evidence doesn't have to be a college degree at a particular site or a title. It can understand this person has experience in SaaS account management because this particular person has these items listed across the profile as we go on through. So you'll see here, you can come through and you could go from there. And of course, if you want more information, anything you click on here, you can see highlighted on the profile as you go on through. And of course, as you go through these, you might learn, there's actually an issue. This isn't exactly what I was looking for. You can simply tell the hiring assistant, hey, that's not exactly what I'm looking for. Can you go back and do things here? I'll show you one more piece and then I'll make sure we take some questions. The last piece is around starting outreach. So you'll see that we can now offer a personalized message, which is something we've been doing for a while. But of course, the hiring assistant can do this in bulk. And for those who've been using the product, you're seeing about it's sourcing about 30 to 40% better in-mail accepts when you send this versus the average. Now, here's the interesting thing. We've made a lot of changes to this product as we've started, and we really understood we can let people add templates. They can customize as they go through. But one that's just starting to launch now, just for earliest kind of charter customers, is this concept of the screening question. So one of the things that's super frustrating for a seeker is and probably for a hire too, you got to jump on a phone for 30 minutes just to realize you don't have work authorization here. So now the agent can start doing some back and forth in a very open way, saying, hey, I'm going to hand off to my hiring assistant. The hiring assistant can come through and start actually doing some of the screening questions. And the person doesn't have to jump on that call, and someone doesn't spend 30 minutes just to realize that some of these important information matters as we go on through. And that's a product I'm super excited about, and of course happens across LinkedIn. So I'll pause there, but that's how intake works. That's how sourcing works. And of course, that is how some of the screening works as we go through.
Very, very exciting, Harry. Fantastic stuff. A few things here in terms of so the sourcing. I mean, the fact it can automatically start sort of generating candidates, not generating, but retrieving them from the system. Whilst kind of you're already building this, I think everyone can see the productivity gain. I guess there is a scenario where it's dependent on the quality of the information that the candidate has put into the system. So it's going to work better for, I guess, the candidate populations that are more active on LinkedIn, I guess. I mean,
excellent question. So first of all, if you put in, if you have a job application that's coming through the system, which you either have posted a job on LinkedIn or you have recruiter system connecting, you've brought those job applications and resumes in, hiring a system works seamlessly across all of it. So if I'm a sourcer and I've changed an evaluation, it'll change my list of job evaluations as well. So it'll work seamlessly across all those information. And then to your point, if there's information missing, our thesis is, well, the screening questions allow you to go to that next level, right? Because I recognize a profile for many people as a seeker, it's a public piece of information. You may have a question on work authorization, visa authorization, that they worked in this particular capacity, are they willing to commute? And the screener questions allow you to do that.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. What about sort of the the automation side of it? Is there a risk that basically recruiters might overly automate their approach? Like, are we going to see too many messages go to too many candidates, for instance? Have you thought about that aspect, Harry?
Good question. So remember, we always keep a floor so that we make sure that the in-mail percentage of accepts has to be so, and that isn't changing, because otherwise you're right. When the cost of sending something falls through dramatically, you could have all kinds of things happening. So we're not going to change the floor as we go through. And right now, it's actually two interesting stats. One, not only the in-mail accepts higher, but when you start someone with a personalized draft, they spend more time editing the draft in particular scenarios, which basically to me means it's hard to start with it's like writing a document. It's hard to start with a blank sheet of paper, but you'll spend time editing it. So I actually, one of the things that, I mean, you learn all kinds of new things, is that quality might actually be improving as long as we keep that floor at the right level.
Yeah, excellent stuff. A few kind of more prosaic questions. People are saying, hey, is this only LinkedIn Recruiter? I'm assuming it's linked to LinkedIn Recruiter, correct? So this is not available for Sales Navigator, for instance?
Excellent question. So for the hiring side, we have two ways to access our hiring assistants. One of them is if you go and post a job online, so you just go to LinkedIn and say post a job, you can access a version of this product for a single seat that posts your job, reviews your application, and provides you some amount of recommended matches. The other way on the recruiter product is it'll be an add-on to the product, and you could go through and you could basically say, okay, now if I added this on, I can get access to what I should. There is a version of some of the AI tools in the Sales Navigator product as well. Unfortunately, I won't have time to demo it, but there's certainly some versions. You can see a lot of the things being quite leverageable and quite intersecting as we go on through.
Yep, Harry, I'm conscious of time, and I know you got a hard stop about 60 seconds, so I've got to rush one question in. Sort of where are we with this tool now? You mentioned companies are using it. Can people use it today? What is the way to onboard with this?
I love it. So yes, there's definitely, I think over 1,000 companies are using it now. I've seen people starting to go. People are definitely using it today. There is a rollout process that we're going through, and it's exactly what I said earlier. We're not. When we release something, I recognize how many people use it and how I feel a responsibility to make sure we do this right across the marketplace. And we're a few more months before a general release. And the reason for that, I just want to make sure the quality is right. And so I hope people will use it. I welcome the feedback of anyone who is using it. But I think we need a couple more months to make sure it's in perfect shape.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. And folks, hey, listen, let's get speaking to the companies that are already using it. Love to hear your thoughts. Comment away. Let us know how this is going to make a difference to your day. May, thank you so much for sharing some information there, some wonderful stuff that's already out there. Go ahead and do it. Harry, you got to go, so I'm not going to keep you on screen any longer. Thank you very much for spending some time with us. I know we had to rush through, but two great demos, two significant products. Great to see those.
Thank you so much, and thank you to this community. It's really, again, send me any feedback and any thoughts. And thanks again, Hung.
Fantastic stuff, folks. So hope that was just a whistle stop. But do make sure you check out the links that May has shared in the chat. These are essentially, what the situation is with both those products, when they're going to come out, how you can learn more about them, and so forth. I'd love to take more questions, but obviously Harry's not here to answer them. So the way in which we're going to do this, if you do have any questions that you want us to kind of get to Harry at a later point, do use the Q&A feature. I'm going to give you 5 more minutes to pop any questions in there. We're going to collect those and make sure they get communicated. And if you're watching this on LinkedIn, obviously, on my LinkedIn, should I say, put the question in the comments, and then I'll make sure that Harry gets exposure to those as well. Actually, May's just shared a really interesting form. Basically, if you want to keep if you want to know more about these updates, go and fill this out. So I'm also going to circulate this to everyone who's also watched this or registered to this show. Make sure you basically fill this in. Like I say, LinkedIn are one of the very few companies, one of the few products, should I say, that has the ability to really significantly impact the entire industry in one go. I've just seen 2 products here that seem as if they're going to do that. Your job's going to change, folks. You have to be ahead of that. You have to lean into what this is. So make yourself aware of it. Make sure you're first in the queue. Understand how this works, and how it's going to make your business a more effective recruitment organization. Okay, folks, I think that's it. You don't need to see me whistle away for any longer. Thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this special. We'll be back. We've got a triple header on Brainfood Live this week, so we're going to be talking about career pages on Thursday. Make sure you join us for that. Another special, and we're back on Brainfood Live, hiring manager self-serve. Make sure you watch and tune in for that as well. Follow the channel, by the way, if you want to get more updates of this type. It's free to watch all of these shows. Just click on the channel button here and follow. We'll keep you updated whenever we go live. Okay, that's about it. Thanks for watching, everyone. No worries, Tony.